let's get down to the action. Hello and welcome to round one. Steve Menendian has a white Eldrazi deck in this tournament. Andy Probasco is on bug control, Sultai, if you will. Looks like Steve won the die roll, and wow, Soul Ring is so good in the Eldrazi deck. That hand looks amazing.
This hand looks really good for Menendian. So I know we talked a lot earlier in the pregame about what we think was going to happen with this match, and I felt that it was very draw dependent, and Steve's hand looks amazing after saying that.
Yeah.
Got some wastelands. A wasteland.
Yeah, still. He gets to go, what, turn one, his choice of Displacer over in Wingmare. Presumably you play the Wingmare first?
I think I'd play the Wingmare. Yeah, definitely.
And then on turn two, he can go turn two Reality Smasher, or he can go Wasteland plus Displacer. Yeah, that hand's just great.
Now, and you have to do that with a Reality Smasher, right? I mean, I'm sure he's looked at his deck list. He knows that there's probably very few ways other than countering it that he can deal with that. So he has to just jam that.
Now, it's funny. One of the few ways Andy does have to deal with the Reality Smasher is the Thoughtseize that's sitting in his hand. Menendian needs to play a Wingmare here. If he merely plays a Displacer, he's going to lose his Reality Smasher to that Thoughtseize.
Yeah, I don't see him playing the Displacer over the Wingmare, but if he does, I think, yeah, you're right. We're in for some trouble there.
And I also agree with you. What you have to do with Smasher when you shuffle this deck up, you just summon it, turn it sideways, send it in, see what happens. Not exactly.
That's a decision before the tournament, right? Like if you decide that you are making Eldrazi, you know you're not playing Forest, you know you're not playing Brainstorm, you know your draws are going to be, and you're drawing that deck to smash with Reality Smasher and play Thought-Knot Seer as soon as possible.
I completely agree with you, but it is not exactly Steve's normal mode of play.
That's true. Very true.
Well, he's gone Displacer here. Displacer not Friend Wingmare.
No.
Now, Andy also has a fork in the road, right? Deathrite Shaman has got to be at least a little bit tempting here on the first turn. He has to choose Deathrite or Thoughtseize. He can't play both.
Yes, which Deathrite, it's one of the main reasons that you play the bug deck. So it's very tempting to just slam that on turn one. You have a fetch already, like it's good to go. But he did not plan. He's like, no.
He's looking over at 4 mana, including colorless, and he's just like, let me see it. And that decision did not take long. Just insta-slam, Reality Smasher into the graveyard. Oh, Thought-Knot Seer off the top. Wow. And he gets to go Wasteland plus Thought-Knot Seer. That's actually a better turn than the Smasher turn would have been.
Yeah, actually, it's like, oh, I wasn't going to play that card anyways. That's the Thoughtseize tech, is just leave it on the top of your library, right? Draw it.
And now Andy's like, that card wasn't there. I just saw your hand, dude. That card was not there.
Worse. It's almost worse to Thoughtseize and see that they don't have it and then play it, and you know they drew it. You know that was not in their rotation.
And look how ridiculous this Thought-Knot Seer is. I assume he's going to take Deathrite Shaman. Then he's going to waste the Underground Sea, and all of a sudden Brassman has a single mana and it's colorless.
Yes.
Yeah, this is that top deck should give game one to Steve. Brassman's going to have quite a series of top decks to get out of this. And yeah, okay, Steve does take the Deathrite Shaman.
And the thing with the top decks, the plan with doing the top decks, you have to remember that Thought-Knot Seer is hitting you every single turn that you're waiting to try to draw out of it.
Right, it's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah.
7 plus 7 is 14, I'm pretty sure. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Deathrite Shaman without the mana to cast it anymore. All right. Deprive Steve of white mana.
Going back to Andy's choice of playing the Thoughtseize, I think if I was in his spot, I would choose to play the Thoughtseize as well, only because usually, not always, but if someone plays like a really explosive mana mana artifact on turn 1. Like they have like Mox, Soul Ring, land, and then play something, and they only have like 2 or 3 cards left in their hand.
Yep.
It's generally a better idea to Thoughtseize because there's a good chance, just because of the amount of spells that they already played, that they only have like 1 payoff spell. So I think he made the right decision. Not that he wasn't immediately punished by him drawing the Thought-Knot Seer, but I think he did choose correctly with the Thoughtseize.
I agree with you. I think Thoughtseize was the right play, and it just didn't work out.
Yes. He drew the Bayou, but it's looking...
So Steve is doing, it's the middle of Andy's draw step, and Steve is going to flicker his own Thought-Knot Seer so that he gets to essentially take a card out of Brassman's hand again. Brassy does get to draw a card from the trigger, but assuming Steve stacks it correctly, first Andy draws, then he gets the best card removed.
Oh, this is painful. This is painful. This is a painful truth to watch.
Yeah. Andy's like, I'm not even going to let you see my hand, dude. I don't care if deck lists are public.
He's like, bye. So we did say it was draw dependent, and Menendian did have a very, very good draw that game. So we still have a lot coming game 2. They could go completely a different way.
Dread of Night coming in from the sideboard. Doesn't deal with the Eldrazi, but it does kill Thalia and her friends.
I think there's probably a good amount that Andy doesn't want.
Yeah, he's still got the Null Rods in his deck. I'm not sure how good Null Rod is in this matchup. Yeah, get rid of the Flusterstorm is garbage. Mental Misstep is garbage. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Menendian, I don't think he's changed a card yet, right? Or he's
like, this seems good. Let's just run back last game.
Yeah, he put in some cards to think about. He put in Containment Priest and Kataki just to kind of look at it and see how he felt about it, and then took them out again. I think he wound up with a Dismember instead of a Null Rod is all he's done. Brassman's still thinking about running his own Null Rods. But, I mean, it's not like he has particularly good cards, right? He took out...
I don't think either of their sideboards are particularly good for each other's decks, which is kind of the effect of having 2 decks that are kind of... I don't want to say fringe, because they're not fringe, but that are aimed at beating the best deck. You don't really build your sideboards to beat the other decks that are trying to beat the best deck. So I think that's kind of... They don't have amazing options on either side.
Yep, sounds right. I just don't... Yeah, I don't think I like Null Rod, but it's not like Andy has great options. It's like, okay, you could... He's trimming a Force of Will, which I don't mind. I think I like Force of Will in this matchup. There's a lot of matchups where I do trim Force of Wills, but I'm not sure this is one.
I think I like Force of Will, but...
I think I do too. I like it better than Null Rod, but he only trimmed 1. Dismember, obviously, the biggest card Andy has access to that he'll now have.
Great. Yes.
All right, this is an elimination match, so one of these guys is going to get knocked out. Well, Brassman's got an Ancestral and a sideboard card.
That sounds pretty good. That looks pretty good.
Even Force of Will with a blue card. It's a great draw. Steve's got... Oh, he's brought the Mental Missteps in. That's what he brought in that I missed.
Oh, that makes sense.
I criticized Steve for having Mental Misstep in his list in last week's show. I actually had a conversation with him between shows, and he was starting to talk me into it. I mean, in particular, so he has Mental Missteps in his sideboard. They're not in the main deck of his White Eldrazi list. They're only in the sideboard. And he says he brings them in 2 places. He brings them in against combo, like Paradoxical Outcomes. Sometimes they just kill you before you get a turn, and you just need to like slow them down long enough to play your Thorn or your, Thalia or whatever. It's going to work out here.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking pretty good.
What? Mental Misstep? I'm actually a little bit surprised Steve brought them in here. Like I said, his defense was you want them against combo because you just need to slow them down so you don't lose before you get a turn. And then he wanted to bring it in against exactly Swords to Plowshares. Now, Andy doesn't have either of those, but I guess Steve just didn't have relevant sideboard cards. So Misstep came in, and I mean, he got to trade it for Force of Will and a blue card. That's a pretty solid...
I think it's good for Steve. It's not bad for Andy because, as you can see with Steve, he has a Cavern in his hand, so he can kind of like at will make things that he wants uncounterable anyways with the Force. So maybe that's why he ended up trimming the Force of Will, is because he plays Caverns. So it, I think it ended up working out. I think it was still better for Steven, but I don't think it was bad for Andy to trade the Force there for it.
Wow, how good is this Thoughtseize going to be? Well, maybe it's going to be just like the last one, where what it really does is summon a Thought-Knot Seer to the top of Steve's deck.
He's like, I heard that you took my friend.
I mean, losing that Reality Smasher, Menendian's hand is officially garbage. Like, it's actual nothing.
This is the official statement. Garbage hand. Now he's kind of knocking the top of your deck. This is why I don't like playing these decks, and which is why my guess is Menendian doesn't usually play these decks, is you don't have a lot of control over what happens to you.
Knock the top of your deck, and oh, Athalia into the Dread of Night. Somehow the hand got worse.
How did you draw it's like, how did I draw an actively bad card?
It's hard to do. That card is even worse than mana number 8 or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever we're at now.
Mana number 9.
Oh, that's the bummer.
I mean, not that Brathman had anything great going on. Now he does with Leovold. But just having nothing happen is good for the book control side. Having Leovold happen, even better.
Very good.
Having Dig Through Time almost online, also pretty good. Yeah, I think you just waste Ancient Tomb here.
Yeah.
Turns off. Oh, and Reality Smasher came off the top, so perfect timing. By wasting the Ancient Tomb, it basically meant a Reality Smasher top deck needs to wait a turn.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm like looking at here. I think I don't think it was wrong to waste the Tomb, but he has a Krakus in his hand. It would be nice to save the waste to be able to hit the Krakus because it can bounce Leovold.
Fair. That's fair.
Just keep bouncing it back.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But
the thing is, though, when he bounces Leovold, you do get to draw a card.
That's true.
Leovold is a permanent you control becoming the target of an ability. So it's funny. I mean, Wasteland Karakas,
like, is it even that good?
I'll just draw a card every turn. Maybe that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird little interaction.
He did draw a Reality Smasher, so that's something. That's good. He's a while from it. All right, so here he's tutoring. What will he go get?
Yeah, I saw a question in chat. These are the same decks people played last week. There are, in fact, the decklist command is live in chat. If you just type ! Decklist, you can see exactly what everybody brought. You know, it's just one double elimination tournament between last week and this week, so no deck swaps.
It's kind of like one big tournament.
Yeah. Leovold attacks. Does Steve bounce it, or does he take 3? Like, I think you take 3. I think you take 3.
Oh, I think so. I mean, he went and got Crucible, so I think this is looking bad.
Not that Steve knows that, but yeah, Steve is about to get.
No, he doesn't. No.
Unlocked.
Looks like that's what Steven's thinking about.
Well, there's the bounce. And free card for you.
There's that no rub.
Yeah, which does pretty much nothing here. And he failed to find a third land, which would have turned on Crucible or Leovold. So whatever. Backup plan, we'll just cast Dig Through Time. It's a pretty good backup plan.
I mean, when Dig Through Time is your backup plan, it's like feeling pretty good.
I thought Not Seer is a very relevant draw, though.
Yes, absolutely. It always feels like when you play those, when you play Reality Smasher and Thought Not Seer, they come together. It's like the
So
old
how do you sequence this?
Like it like when you play Siege Rhino, the other Siege Rhino comes, so you can play it. Similar.
Which do you care more about if you're Steve? Thought Not or Reality Smasher?
I think I think it depends on his hand. His hand's so good, I don't even.
I mean, he gets to play one. He can Thought Not, leaving his Karakas up in case he needs it, or he can just smash. I mean, he knows he bounced Leovold. He knows Leovold's a good card, but it's not an amazing card. It doesn't answer Eldrazi.
True.
He also knows that Andy cast the Demonic Tutor last turn and then didn't play any more spells. So whatever Andy got with the DT is in his hand. I think I thought not here.
Yeah, I think so. No, especially knowing the Demonic Tutor. So, he had the chance to go get something, and you have to assume that it's something that you don't want to happen and you want to take it.
Yeah, presumably. Crucible's not a complete lock, though. And I'm trying to think. Andy got the Crucible with his Demonic Tutor to set up a Wasteland lock, but it's going to take a couple turns for that to actually pinch Steve. I mean, he's got land drops ready.
Yes. Playing Cavern here.
Yeah, plays Cavern, names Eldrazi. Smasher or the Seer? What's the call?
I think I would play the Thought-Knot Seer. I'm not sure what he's going to do. That's what I think I would play.
That was my intuition as well. I gotta say, though, putting a clock on this game, like, you kind of want 3 attacks to win the game.
That's true. That's true.
Like, let's say Andy just replays Leovold, whatever, you bounce it again, then play your Thought Knot. Next turn, you're hitting him again. Smasher just ends the game.
Yes, it does. That's true.
I don't know. I had the same first intuition you did, but I'm talking myself out of it.
Which is probably what he's doing. He's probably going back and forth, talking himself into one and out of the other.
We've been saying that when you shuffle this deck up, you're committed to smashing.
That's true. We have been saying that.
But the Demonic Tutor. Oh, it's a legitimately interesting question here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even sure what the right play is, and I can see Brassman's hand.
I know. Yeah. Ooh, this is a tough. See, this is why Vintage is so awesome. This is tough. There's so many. There's 2 very separate lines, and they can lead to 2 entirely different games. So let's say he does Thought Knot. What do you take with Thought Knot? Well, he'll dig through time in response. Right. Oh no, he probably won't.
Oh, interesting. I think you dig as your response. Otherwise, taking the dig is effectively taking 2 cards.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're about to find out real quick.
Do you think there's a notepad file with the pro-con list?
Oh, he's looking. He's looking at his.
Oh, he's looking at deck lists. Sorry.
He's like, I'm going to see what he got. What he could have got.
I want to see the pro-con list, though.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what's going on in his head right now. Meanwhile, Andy's just sitting there waiting. Which I played him last week, and there was a few really, I'm sure he was making really difficult decisions, but I'm just sitting at my computer oh my god, just kill me or don't. I'm tortured here. I'm literally in torture.
That's his mental game.
That's it. That's why. Okay.
Chat's debating. I think they're leaning Smasher.
The chat thinks Smasher?
It's close. I've seen both answers.
The chat should put 1 for Smasher, 2 for Thought Knot. We'll see. We'll count them up. I do not envy him because this is it feels like this match is on the shoulders of this decision. I'm sure it feels like that to him. I do love his choice of basic planes, though. It's very beautiful.
Can you count the 2s and the 1s? They look pretty even to me.
I cannot.
No, it's no consensus as to which is the right play here. Steve has finally made a decision, though. Reality Smasher.
Reality Smasher, okay.
It is uncounterable because of the Cavern. Andy is going to dig even in response to Reality Smasher. The fact that it's uncounterable means I don't think he can get anything relevant, but whatever, might as well.
Might as well. F6 value, maximum F6 value right here.
Fair. Yeah, this is.
I'm sure not the reason why he's doing that, but.
This does make it impossible for Andy to accidentally skip Steve's end step.
True.
What do we got? 2 Death Rights, 2 Leovolds, a Treasure Cruise, and some mana. The Cruise is not online because he just delved away all but 1 card.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a Leovold in his hand, so he kept second Leovold and a Sapphire.
I don't dislike the Sapphire. The Leovold, I mean.
Second Leovold is interesting.
That was a unique dig through time that it didn't actually like yield anything that was obviously the best pick.
True. Oh, the Abrupt Decay. That does not kill Smasher. Somewhere Rodrigo Tagores is saying, it should be in Swords to Plowshares, dude. You gotta splash white if you want to play Leovold. Yeah, Andy's in trouble here. I mean, if Leovold wasn't legendary, well, I mean, there wasn't a Caracas, then you could imagine double blocking with a pair of 3/3s, but
she can take care of the Caracas, but I don't think that's really the access that's gonna like be helping him at this moment.
Yeah, all right. He wastes Ancient Tomb.
Kind of slows him down a little bit, but
he's still going to get Thought Knotted though, right?
It would be interesting if his Dig Through Time did have a force in it, like a force. I would be inclined to take that because you can Crucible his Cavern and then force if something comes, but that doesn't really help you with what's already happening either.
All true. Yeah, the Reality Smasher line is going to work out. Putting Andy on a quick clock. Andy had sort of slow controlish cards, right? He had a Crucible Lock in play. He had a Dig Through Time, and he didn't find much. So just basically saying, look, you gotta deal with Smasher in the next 2 turns, or you're dead. Seems like it's going to work. And Steve does still have a colorless from Cavern of Souls. He won't be able to make this Thought Knot Seer uncounterable because Cavern only makes your dude uncounterable if you spend colored mana. But it does have the option to tap for colorless, so that's what he'll have to do to play this Thought Knot Seer.
I wonder if they could see in the future when they made Black Lotus, which I guess they probably would have done a lot of things differently. But if they could see in the future and know that colorless was a thing, would they let Black Lotus tap for colorless, or sack for colorless?
It's a fair question. You know, I have that conversation sometimes. Like, if you had a time machine and you could go back and change things, like I would not touch Alpha. I wouldn't change anything. Like Magic.
I wouldn't either.
No, Magic is it got so huge. Like the odds of launching a new game and having it become this cultural phenomenon are so small. Like, don't mess with anything. Don't care if Ancestral is that much better than Healing Salve. Don't care. Don't mess with it.
As a blue player, I agree. Okay, so he's gonna play Thought Knot. It is a little bit of a Thought Knot Seer-proof hand in the sense that I don't like you have Leovolds and it doesn't matter.
Let me get this straight. You're saying the good news is all of Andy's cards are terrible? I guess that's sure.
I mean, you have to look at the positives.
Steve takes the Null Rod. Makes sense given that he's kind of getting Crucible locked and he wants his Mox Ruby and his Lotus to work. But whatever, Andy has to top deck an answer to Reality Smasher right now, and he's 1 life from also dying next turn to the Thought Knot Seer.
Yeah, we need some running.
He can actually pay 1 BB for Dismember. He did it. It's hard.
We're 1 of 2 cards out of this situation.
Yeah, it basically had to be Dismember. Andy had to have the double black to cast it, but all of those things are true. So play on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, don't you wish that card was in his hand when he thought not, and somehow he was unable to play it?
Leovold's going to chump block the Thought Knot Seer, and he's going to pay Phyrexian mana for Dismember, I guess.
Ooh.
He turns a profit there? Sure. Why not?
I like it.
Now Andy says back to Rodrigo, yeah, if I had Swords to Plowshares, it would die to Mental Misstep.
Mm-hmm. Casually Dismember, you usually cast it for like 1 mana, but Mental Misstep not very good against it.
Right, so he has to Dismember Smasher, discarding this awful Abrupt Decay. I presume, because the Leovold is dead. The Leovold is obliged to chump
Yes.
the Thought-Knot Seer.
Yes. It's very possible that Andy was already considering this. That's why he took the second Leovold.
Well, he didn't know about
He knew there was probably going to have to be some amount of that anyways. He gave himself the best chance.
Yeah, I mean, it has worked out. He didn't know about this Thought-Knot at that point, but...
No. Yeah.
None of his cards were great. All right. Answer to Thought-Knot Seer? No. So, must chump block. He's kind of got his Crucible lock on. We're down to just this Thought-Knot Seer. If Andy can come up with an answer to Thought-Knot, he can actually come back and win this game.
Yes, this is very true. He put himself in the absolute best position possible to come back.
Crucible Waste takes out the Cavern. Steve can no longer cast Eldrazi. He no longer has a colorless source, so Smasher off the top would not save him. Wow, colorless source off the top.
There's the colorless source.
Yeah, between the Soul Ring, the Ruby, and the Lotus, he's in good shape for casting spells despite the Crucible Wasteland lock. Menendian doesn't know if he needs to cast another spell. He's hoping Thought-Knot goes all the way. All right. One draw step. Last time it was Dismember.
Oh, not yet, not yet, not yet. Hold on. Soon we're going to be knocking the top of our deck.
Got an answer? Or do we get the rematch? If Menendian survives this draw step, he plays Kevin Cron once again. Ponder. All right, redraws.
Okay, let's see. Gives us some more looks.
4 looks. Oh, the mental misstep! Oh, the mental misstep for the win!
And the mental misstep turned out to be, see, we should have never talked about it.
I take it all back, Steve Menendian.
Yeah.
Mental misstep works out.
Oh.
Wow. So, Steve Menendian wins 2-0. White Eldrazi smashes the Bug Control deck from Andy Probasco. So, that was an elimination match. Brassman is now out of our last chance qualifier. Menendian moves on. And yeah, you see, it is a rematch. Kevin Cron had dealt Steve his first loss, but now they are going to play.
Now it's like a revenge kill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the winner moves on. This time it's an elimination match. Last time, okay, first round they had played. It was cute and all. This time, so many insane eliminations will be on the line.
Oh, my gosh. A+. I like that.
But first, we've got.
I think with what the deck what they were playing, I think it basically came true that he just didn't have a way to deal with his creatures because he kind of just had Abrupt Decay, and his Dismember was too taxed. He needed more.
Yeah, he only had the 2 Dismembers. Yeah, he had the wrong removal spell in Abrupt Decay. So that is the problem with Abrupt Decay. It's just I don't think it's a good enough removal spell in an Eldrazi world. And yeah, we saw that play out. So Menendian will get the rematch against Kevin Cron. That will be an elimination match. But first, Rachel, we have a winner's bracket that we're going to have to resolve. It is you taking on Caleb Durward.
I think this is the third. This is the third match Caleb and I have played in the VSL.
Yep, and the biggest stakes. The winner will go to the final. The winner will just get to sit, watch a couple matches, and then we'll be 1 match away from a spot in the Vintage Super League Season 6. All right, I'll let you go play. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back with round number 2.